So first of all, I would like to say a big hello to everyone around the world and to thank you very much for tuning in this morning. I am coming from a very miserable day in Maryland. It's cold and it's raining. I hope that wherever you are, the weather is much nicer. First of all, I would like to thank very much Kayana Tennant from IEEE Women Engineering for supporting and organizing this live chat. And I would also like to thank very much Lauren Meakin from the IEEE Photonics Society for also sponsoring this event as well. So first of all, let me take the opportunity to introduce myself and also tell you a little bit about my role in the IEEE Photonics Society. My name is Dalma Novak. I'm a member of the IEEE Women in Engineering, and I'm also a president-elect of the IEEE Photonics Society. I've been a member of the IEEE for well over 20 years now, and it's a society that I support, and it's a great part of my life, and I enjoy it very much. In my professional role, I am Vice President of Engineering at a technology company called Farad, and my company, I'm also a co-founder of that company. We're located in Maryland, in Hanover. My company works on a number of different technologies. Photonics is one of them. We also work on antennas and RF communication technologies as well. I'm often asked the question where the name Farad actually comes from. Farad is spelled P-H-A-R-A-D. And the answer is that it's an acronym for photonics and radio, which is essentially the two key things that we work on here in my company. But also, for those of us who are engineers, it's obviously an engineering in-joke as well, because of the pun on the unit of capacitance. So that's where the name comes from. Just to give you a little bit about my background and how I started off in the field. So I did my education, both my bachelor and my PhD, at the University of Queensland in Australia. And my PhD was focused on looking at the dynamics of semiconductor lasers for optical fiber communication systems. I then started working as an academic. I joined the University of Queensland only for a short period of time, and then I went to the University of Melbourne, and I joined the Photonics Research Laboratory in the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. And that's where really my career developed, and I started working on microwave photonic technologies, and also continued to work in fiber optic communication systems and high-speed systems. I was a professor there for 12 years, and then I moved to the United States, and I changed from working in academia to working in industry. So it's been some would say a big change, but in fact I find that working in industry, a lot of the things that I learned as an academic in fact translate very easily to industry. I still do a lot of research and development here in my company, and we also work on product development as well, and that's very exciting. The way that I journeyed from Australia to the United States was actually I took a leave of absence from the university, and I joined a startup company, and this was back in 2001. And at that time, those of you probably know what was going on in the telecommunications industry. It was a very exciting time, but it was also a challenging one, because we all know about what happened with the telecom bubble. So the company that I joined was working on a very exciting technology, and probably one that at the time was perhaps a little bit ahead of its time. We were working on developing, at that time, the most wideband, ultra-wideband submarine fiber optic system, and it was working on Raman amplification to be able to create a very wide optical bandwidth and allow a lot of WDM channels. So it was very exciting to be working in that company. And but as we all know what happened with the telecom bubble, a lot of companies did not last, and my company was one of them. However, that did not dissuade me from staying in industry, and I helped co-found a company and have been working in industry ever since. I'm still closely tied with the University of Melbourne, and I'm a professorial fellow there right now. So that's a little bit about me, and now I also can perhaps give some perspective of some of the things that we are doing in the IEEE Photonics Society. So, as I said, I've been a member of the IEEE for a long time. I've also been a volunteer for the IEEE for a very long time as well. And this is something that I want to talk about a little bit later as well, because I think that volunteerism within the IEEE is a very important activity and can provide great benefits to members as well. So I joined the IEEE, and then when I joined the University of Melbourne, I became part of the IEEE Victoria section, and then I formed the first chapter in Victoria of the Photonics Society. So that's really how I started. I was chair of that local chapter. I became chair of the IEEE Victoria section. I went on to become chair of the IEEE Australia Council, and then I became much more closely involved with the Photonics Society as well. So I was an associate editor for our society's Journal of Lightwave Technology for 6 years. I'm still involved in the journal, our IEEE Photonics Technology Letters, as an associate editor. I've been very closely involved in our flagship conference, the IEEE Photonics Conference, as a program chair and also general chair. And then now I have just concluded a 3-year term as a member of the Board of Governors, and I was also 2 years as the Secretary and Treasurer for our society. Last year I was elected as the President for a 2-year term for 2014 and 15, and I'm very excited to be taking on that role and very excited about the opportunities. So before I continue to talk about the society, if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask me, please do, and I'll look out for them. So I don't have any questions so far, but let me keep talking about the IEEE Photonics Society. So what my plans are as president. One of the things that I feel is very important for the society is that we keep adapting to the needs of our members. I feel very strongly that our society, as a professional society, needs to underpin and really be the reason for our members staying a part of the society and seeing that the society is crucial and very relevant for the careers and the ongoing professional development of the members. And if you think back, our society is over 35 years old now, and it has changed during that time, not least of which starting off with the name of the society, which had quantum electronics in the title. For those of you who have been members for some time, you know that we then became the Society Lasers and Electro-Optic Society, and then now a few years ago we became the IEEE Photonics Society, and really that we're really trying to encompass all the different technical fields within photonics that all our members are involved with. So along with those changes, There are other significant changes as us as engineers and technologists in the way that we work and we carry out our professional lives. So we communicate obviously very different to how we did 30 years ago, even 5 years ago. Not just that, but the way that we're educated, and also the way that we conduct our career paths as well. Our career paths have changed dramatically. The days of joining a company and staying there for 20 to 30 years, we know that that really isn't going to happen for the young technologists as they start their career paths. So everything is changing very much, and as a society we need to stay relevant to what our members need, and we need to create the opportunities and provide the mechanisms that they can still be successful in their careers, and that's really what I want to focus on. So I do see a question now, and the question is, do I have any advice for recovering from setbacks such as my company folding? And that is an excellent question, and one that I have experienced personally. But not just that. I mean, we see really on a weekly basis announcements from companies that are downsizing. Just yesterday I saw that Alcatel-Lucent are planning to shed 10,000 jobs worldwide. And this is very significant, and we need to recognize that this is influencing our members and the things that they are very much concerned about. As a professional society, we're well aware that we can't control the decision-making process of corporations. Doesn't matter how big or small they are. But what we can do is we can keep promoting our technology, keep promoting the importance of photonics and how important and relevant photonics is to the day-to-day lives of people, and recognize that as technologists we don't just have a training in one particular area, but we are trained in a number of different areas, and one of the most important things for a technologist and an engineer is our skills in problem solving. And I think the other thing that we need to help our members with is providing them professional growth opportunities, networking opportunities, and showing them ways that they can adapt their skill sets to work in other industry areas. So perhaps not necessarily be doing exactly the same job, but being able to join another company and be able to have new skills and be able to apply them to work into different fields. I have another question about how did I progress from being chair of the section to my next role in the IEEE. I think that was something that perhaps developed naturally. I've always had an interest in volunteering for the IEEE. One of the things about how you can volunteer, and that's really something that I feel very strongly about, and what I want to do over the next 2 years is to do as much outreach as I can to members, and really promoting the benefits both to the individual and also to the society of volunteering for the society. One of the things that's very important is to network, and you can become very visible. You have an opportunity to participate in your own professional and technical community in a number of ways. One of them is by participating in conferences. You can also participate at the local level, for example, at the chapter level, attending the various talks and activities that are put on at that level. And that gives you an opportunity to network with people, for example, who may be program chairs on conferences, for example. It gives you an opportunity to also, if you are someone who works in academia or an industry where publications are very important, by publishing in papers, becoming known within the research community, for example, you build an awareness of yourself and your technical capabilities, and that lends itself to being invited to take on particular roles. For example, taking on a role as becoming a member of a technical program committee, which is the way that I started to become transitioned and become more involved in the technical activities of the Photonics Society. And similarly, if you publish and have a number of papers, for example, that's also a mechanism to then go and become involved in reviewing papers. Being asked to review papers and is a very important activity and very important role in our technical and professional development. And from there, there's also a way to transition to become, for example, to be asked to become a member of the editorial board and an associate editor, for example. I have a response, and actually this is a very good feedback, about having an IEEE Photonics Society sponsored career fair in the various regions. I really appreciate that feedback, and I think that's a great idea. Just to give some perspective about the membership makeup of the Photonics Society, we have approximately 6,000 members, and we are a global society. And we have about half of our members are located in the US and in Canada, North America, and half are located in around the world, in South America, in Europe, and the Middle East, and also in the Asia region. So we are very much worldwide, and I think that the needs of our members is not that different according to whether which area we're in, and I think the idea of having a career fair is very important, and I think that's also relevant not just to the younger members and the students in our society, but also to those of us who have been in the field for a few decades and who also now see the need to transition their technical skills to some other area and application in industry. Another something I wanted to discuss as part of the outreach that I plan to do over the next year or so is related to the National Photonics Initiative, and some of you may have heard about this. This is something that is getting a lot of publicity right now. This is an initiative that really grew out of some work done by the National Research Council a few years ago, which talked about the importance of optics and photonics to U.S. industry and how important it was to invest in these particular technologies. And very interestingly, that earlier work was really recognized worldwide. And in fact, there has been a lot of investment in these types of technologies, and other countries have recognize the importance of those technologies for their countries becoming economically competitive, perhaps more so than the US has done. And recognizing that there is now a push to really promote optics and photonics and really make the general public understand how they use these types of technologies on a daily basis, because I think most people, those of us who work in technology, appreciate the ingenuity behind everything that we use on a daily basis, but I think that's less recognized in the general public. But related to that is also making everyone aware of and particularly the government, the importance of spending dollars and putting money into research and development, both at universities and also in industry. And R&D funding in the US has definitely dropped, both at the government level and also within industries as well. And in order for us to be competitive, and in order for our industries to keep growing, we need to invest in R&D. So the National Photonics Initiative is doing a great job in promoting the technology, being able to unite all the different players within the space, such as government, academia, and industry, to work together and to really promote the technology and to recognize how important it is for the country. I have some more questions. There's a question related to what ideas and vision I have for involving industry members more in the Photonics Society. And obviously this is something that I feel very personally and very strongly about on a personal level, because I work in industry. And my company, because we're involved in research and development, we naturally recognize how important all of the activities and the opportunities that the Society provides for us in R&D are very relevant. There are other companies and there are other people who are members of the Society who work in industry, where some of the things that the Society coordinates, for example, our high-quality journals and our conferences may not be directly relevant. They may not just have the opportunity to participate in those. And what I really like to do is to try and create networking opportunities and opportunities for continuing education that do fill a need for members in industry who see that participating in those local events, for example, can enable them to carry out their work more effectively. One thing that the Society is doing very actively, and we've really started over the last 12 months, is to provide a mechanism for our members to get access to relevant information very quickly. And we're doing that, for example, through an online newspaper, where if you have an opportunity, and if you haven't had an opportunity yet, I really encourage you to do that. This is a great resource for all members. It doesn't matter what field you're working in. It really gives you an opportunity to keep up to date with what is going on in the photonics industry, and both in terms of technology advances, but also in other things that are relevant to us as well, in terms of what's going on with the economic situation for our industry as well. And we're also really trying to provide more networking opportunities for our members and provide more relevant ways that that we can communicate with one another as well, using electronic dissemination tools as well. Just bear with me while I'm trying to see some more questions. There's a question related to whether the Photonics Society has an interest in the emerging Internet of Things, and the comment was about that the IEEE Communications Society has just called for papers. Obviously, the IT technology and communications is very relevant to our Photonics Society, and we do have an active interest in that particular in that area, and we're keeping a dialogue open with and we're watching how that progresses, and I think that we will probably be doing more related to that particular activity in the future. That kind of topic is also something that we've been focusing on within our own society in our particular conference, the IEEE Photonics conference as well, and I think that's something that we'll continue to do over the next couple of years. have a question about guidance and advice on organizing a local chapter, which is a great question. So we have almost 80 chapters around the world, and Laura Meekham in the Society, who is our our member development specialist. She is in charge of looking after and coordinating all the activities for our chapters. So she is the person to reach out directly to, and there is a lot of information that both the IEEE provides directly and also our society provides to the chapters on formation of a chapter, on all the requirements involved, reporting requirements as well, and opportunities, access to distinguished lecturers, for example. So that's a very good resource and a very good starting point for organizing a local chapter, and I appreciate your interest in that. As part of my member outreach plan for the next couple of years, I'm also going to try and visit as many local chapters as I can, and to really try and also see how the activities and how the make sure that the society is doing whatever it can to support the activities at the local level. I have new questions coming in. So there was a question about a mentoring plan for women in the IEEE Photonics Society. So let me first of all talk a little bit about women in engineering. Next year will be the 20th anniversary of the IEEE Women in Engineering, and that's very exciting, obviously, for the community. For our IEEE Photonics conference in 2014, we are planning to organize our first Women in Photonics event, and part of this is to time with the 20th anniversary, but we would also like to see this as an annual event where we provide an opportunity for the women in our society to be able to, and men of course, to come together and to be able to meet one another and support each other within our community. And obviously very relevant to that is the ability to network with other women and to network with women who have been in the field for some time and who can act as mentors. There is now an IEEE mentoring program which has been started, and that is also something that within our society we are going to promote very much, and also within our society we will be looking for both women and men who can act as mentors for our younger members through that particular mechanism. There was a question related to if I could repeat the name of the person who to contact regarding starting a chapter for our society. Her name is Lauren Meekham, and if you go to the Photonics Society website, you should be able to find her her contact details. There is a question about if I will be participating in the Cisco World Forum on Internet of Things in Barcelona during late October. I would very much like to do that. Unfortunately, that actually conflicts with another conference that I'm closely involved with, but certainly we'll be looking at the forum and the activities and some of the outcomes of that. There's a question about whether the chat will be available afterwards, and yes, it's being recorded, and that will be made available sometime after the event. I have a question about how the IEEE helped me achieve my goals, and thank you very much for that question, because it's actually a good lead-in to something else I wanted to talk about this morning, which was about volunteerism and volunteering, obviously, within the IEEE itself. So something that someone once told me many years ago when I was starting to become involved in the IEEE and at the local level was the importance of volunteering and how you get out of the IEEE what you put back in. And it was an interesting piece of advice and something that over the years I have recognized to be very true. And as a consequence of that, it's something that I promote constantly, and it's something that I will be wanting to talk about a lot when I do outreach over the next couple of years. How I believe it has helped me achieve my goals is providing me a mechanism, first of all, definitely a networking opportunity. The opportunity to become engaged and to meet with people who are not necessarily just within your own technical field, but people who may work in other fields of electrical engineering, which are still very relevant and can be relevant and add value to the technologies that you work in on a day-to-day basis. That's been perhaps something that's may not be obvious directly, but certainly indirectly, being exposed to people who work in slightly different areas, but who still have a way to perhaps help you professionally later on. And the other way that I think it has helped me achieve my goals is provide me the opportunities where I can become involved directly within the technical community. For example, by forming a chapter, being able to meet the distinguished lecturers who come to the chapter, who give the talks. You can meet these people, you can get their email address, and they can be a great mentoring opportunity, for example. Also being able to be involved in conferences, being on the program committee, and again, also from a personal growth point of view, but also from the perspective of enhancing my technical skill set as well. I have some comments related to some other areas that the Photonics Society might be interested in. One of them is nuclear photonics. That's a very interesting topic. Certainly over the years, we have really tried to expand the scope of the society to cover a number of different technical fields and emerging fields as well. And it's definitely something that we focus on in creating and coming up with the topics for our topical meetings that we have both in summer and in winter. The topics for those summer topicals changes every year, and really they reflect emerging topics. And some of these topics, for example, nuclear photonics, would certainly be something that that we could look at and would be a very exciting field. There's also the comment about optical computing and biophotonics as well. I do have a question about my predictions for the industry, given the new interest in biophotonics. Certainly within medicine and in health, photonics has really taken a commanding role, definitely. The technology is being used for so many different applications, and the industry has certainly developed, and there are many companies that are now exist working on technologies related to imaging and all sorts of aspects in helping with surgery for the health-related fields. I think it's very exciting. And I think it's also a great opportunity for technologists as well, a new field to be working in. There is a question related to the best way to volunteer for reviewing for IEEE Photonics journals, and that's a great question, because as an associate editor, I look for volunteers to review papers all the time. So thank you for offering to volunteer. The best way to do this is to write to the, we have, if you look at the IEEE Photonics Society website, there is a staff directory listing, and there are staff listed there who work on the various journals that we have. So my suggestion would be to write to that person, indicate to them that you are willing to act as a reviewer, and also obviously indicate what are the particular fields that you're comfortable reviewing in, and that information will then be disseminated to all the associate editors related to that particular journal, so that all the editors will know that there's a new person who's very willing to volunteer and review the paper. There's a question related to managing personal and professional life for a woman, and that's a question I think that women working in any industry, not just engineering, obviously, always have to consider. How do you manage to do everything? I think that not just women, but men struggle with the same thing, trying to support all the different things that they're involved with. I'm not quite sure I necessarily have words of wisdom, but I think that one of the challenges is always finding the time. But certainly, I think that the more things that you are involved with, the more you learn how to be organized and how to be efficient in managing everything you do, and that's really something that I focused on. I do think that having a personal life is very important, and having passions outside of your professional work are very important as well, and are very important to being a well-rounded person as well. Related to our topic, there's a question about whether I've faced any gender bias or challenges in my initial years. I think that I didn't necessarily see any direct gender bias. I think that I have always been very fortunate that in terms of the people that I have interacted with, and the more senior people that I interacted with and who supported me professionally, I've been very lucky to find those people. And I would say, and my advice to younger people is to really look at all of the different people that could potentially support you in your career, and I think it's very important to have more than just one person providing that mentoring role to you. So I guess I would count myself lucky that I did not encounter any gender bias personally, but I know that it does exist, and obviously that's something that is very important for us that we are mindful of, and that we keep supporting each other, and we need to get over and to move beyond gender stereotypes. So I'm getting asked the question that there are also messages coming through the Facebook page. So I'm just going to go there and also get some questions. There is a question about is there any informal mentoring plan? I think I talked a little bit about that before, about how the society is planning to work through the new IEEE mentoring strategic initiative, and obviously I will be planning to be involved in that. There is a question about suggestions for increasing the number of women in photonics, and obviously, this is a question that is actually something that's appearing in the media a lot and a discussion point that's appearing a lot, because it's related to STEM and getting science, technology, and mathematics, and being able to get more students into those fields, not just women students, obviously, but male students as well. And one of the points that has been raised is that, for example, at the elementary school level, the amount of time that teachers spend on teaching technology and mathematics is significantly less than language, and obviously language skills are very important, but even at that early stage, statistics are showing that there isn't the same amount of time being spent on those types of skills. And that's something that is obviously has to be dealt with at the school level, being able for students to get access to more time on those particular topics. And then I think that will hopefully we'll find a way to go through into the middle and high school areas as well. And then the second aspect to that is, how do we get more students into, and women as well, into photonics. And again, I think what's very important there is that the opportunity to participate in those fields at the high school level are there, and also that all of the professional societies, not just our society, but we do take an active role in doing outreach. And what's important there is that the society finds a way to connect and interact with science and technology teachers in the schools, and provide ways that we can share the excitement and get enthusiasm in working in those fields, and hopefully that we can find the people who are willing to do that. Someone also mentioned, there was a comment about that there are some demonstrations that are related to optics and photonics that certainly can help with the outreach factor. And thank you very much for that comment. I'm still filming more questions here. There was a question about, so the Optical Society of America has a Young Professionals program, and the question is related to whether the Photonics Society plans to start something similar. That's a very interesting comment. We obviously don't have something necessarily like that at this point in time. However, the IEEE for some time did have a gold program, graduates of the last decade, which is something comparable to the young professionals, and that is being changed a little bit, but that will be something that still exists, and that's also something that we have always actively promoted within our society. And we do that through our various conferences, but particularly our flagship IEEE Photonics conference, where we have always devoted at least half a day of technical activities, and not just technical activities, but really mentoring activities to young professionals, both students and also recent graduates as well. And that's something that obviously as a society we recognize that our younger members are really our future, and we will continue to create and provide opportunities for them to continue to grow in that way. There's a question about is there any possibility to decrease registration fees for young researchers? As a society, we obviously recognize the difficulties that that people face with financial challenges related to something like this. And we obviously offer reduced rates at conferences for students, and that's certainly something that we can consider as well to look at the feasibility of offering reduced rates to recent graduates as well, who are still transitioning into full-time employment, and provide a way that we can do that. So appreciate the feedback for that. There's a question about is there an email address that I can be contacted? Definitely. It's very easy to remember because it's IEEE.org email address, and it's d.novak, Novak. So I welcome as much feedback and as much input as possible, and also any advice and direction that we can provide, and new opportunities that we can provide for our younger members as well. There's bear with me while I'm having difficulty looking at some of these questions. I think this is a question related to about how to perhaps handle multiple commitments and work-related stress, and that's something that obviously I think all professionals and all technologists have to deal with on a daily basis, because there are very few of us that work 9-to-5 jobs, and juggling everything is very challenging. I do think that it's very important to have a personal life, and to find time to do the things that can perhaps enable you to re-energize yourself, and so that you can keep enjoying your work life. I really enjoy traveling. I exercise the creative part of my mind, cooking. I love cooking. So there are a lot of things that I do on a personal level that allow me to keep enjoying everything that I do in my professional life. Just going to go back onto Facebook now to see if there are any other questions. So there's a question about why I decided to become an engineer, which is obviously a good question. When I was younger, when I was in high school, I loved maths and science, particularly physics. They were the subjects that I got most joy from. So then I started to think about what kind of job I wanted to do, and what kind of field I would go into where I could really use those types of skills. And I looked at a number of different areas, and I kept coming back to engineering. I mean, obviously science is also something that you can do, but I really wanted to do engineering because I wanted a profession to go into. At the end of the 4 years, I wanted to be able to call myself an engineer and have a very defined role as an electrical engineer, and that's basically why I decided to become an engineer. And looking back, I'm very happy with my decision. I'm still as excited about being an engineer, and I love what I do. I think it's great to be a technologist. I get very excited about technology, as do all others who work in technology, and and I think that we're very privileged to work in that field. There's a question related to what words of advice do I give to young women engineers when I meet them. So I would say the words of advice are to perhaps not try to plan too much. I think that careers develop in different ways. I think that sometimes if we necessarily define right at the beginning of our professional life where we want to be by a certain time, we can perhaps get a little bit frustrated that things didn't quite work out that way. I think it's very important, obviously, to work hard, to be able to communicate well with people, to learn how to get on with all sorts of people. One of the words of advice that I had many years ago from a mentor, when he was explaining how he perhaps adapts his communication skills to deal with people who can be more difficult to deal with, is that it's all part of the rich tapestry of life. And on a day-to-day basis, we interact with all types of people, and I think it's very important to learn how to communicate, recognize that people will have different opinions to you, that you will have differences with others, but not to take them to heart, and just to keep your point of view, and recognize that there are other people who are like-minded, and it's important to surround yourself with like-minded people as well. There's a question about how can male engineers get involved to help promote women in STEM professions, and I guess my response will be the same way, that women can get involved. I think that it's very important for us to do outreach obviously to schools, and definitely at the local level. I know, for example, that there are a number of sections in different geographical areas that have very active programs promoting STEM areas within schools, and I would encourage all engineers to make contact with their local sections and find out if those particular activities already exist, and volunteer to be involved and act as mentors for the high school students. And if those activities aren't there, certainly it's a great way to become involved and to be an active volunteer and to start a program. And the great thing is about being volunteers is that we obviously try to share our opportunities with one another, and our success stories with one another as much as possible. So there is a lot of information available within the IEEE, within the Photonics Society, of activities that have been initiated and how successful they've been, and everyone is very open to sharing those particular opportunities. There's a question about where do I see the growth opportunities in photonics for the next 10 years. So here's my crystal ball. So that's a very interesting question. I think it's a very exciting time for photonics. I mean, I don't think that has really changed over the last few decades, but it's becoming even more so. And if you go to the webpage for the National Photonics Initiative, you really see some great material there related to photonics and how photonics is being used in our society and where it's going. And they really identified all the different areas, for example, in health and medicine, in energy, in the defense sector and national security, in communications, and also in advanced manufacturing. Photonics plays a commanding role in all of those different fields, and the industry related to those different fields is changing dramatically. So, for example, within communications, we all know how much we use the internet and the bandwidth is changing requirements, are changing things so dramatically. Related to that is our use of cloud-based technology and having data centers with these ultra-high bitrate connections, optical connections from one to the other. So I would really see that there is going to be a lot of advances in all of those different industry sectors over the next 10 years. There's a question related to whether I have children, and if yes, how do I manage? So I do not have children, but I still have a personal life, and I know that many of my women colleagues, both in engineering and in photonics, have children, and it is a challenge to be able to juggle everything, but they manage to do it successfully, and I think part of how they do that is to have a great support network that can enable them to do everything, and also to be incredibly organized as well. I'm going to go back to Yusra now to see if there's field some other questions. There's a question about what is my feeling about open access journals in terms of peer review quality. And this is a timely question because there has been issues with some open access journals, and particularly with papers that have been published in some of those journals, which are obviously have not been reviewed appropriately. I think it's very challenging. I think as from an author's perspective, the most important thing is to go to an open access journal that is well recognized. For example, the Photonics journal that has a very high citation record. It's very important to do that, and I think that we have to be more vigilant, and certainly everyone is much more aware of the issues related to some of these open access journals that do not have the same peer review process, and I think at some point that will become obvious, and just by virtue of authors not choosing to publish there, hopefully that will start to improve. I think we are at the end of our time. If anyone has any last minute questions that they would like to ask. I don't think I have any other questions that are coming through, so I would really like to thank all of you for listening today, for taking the time to do that, and appreciate the opportunity to talk about the IEEE Photonics Society, IEEE Women in Engineering, and also to listen to and get to know a little bit more about me. I'm looking forward to my term as president. I'm looking forward to meeting as many members as possible, and if any of you have any further questions, or if you would like to provide any suggestions for us at the Society, please email me directly. Thank you very much.